You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, and that's what you heard, the music of Cory Henry, who is a multi-time Grammy-nominated artist, this year in the Roots Gospel Album category for his album Church. Although he's also been nominated in Best Alternative Jazz, Best Progressive R&B, and even Album of the Year categories for his work. He's been a musical prodigy his whole life, starting piano and Hammond B3 organ. We'll tell you about that. From the age of 2 years old, played the famed Apollo Theater at 6 years old. You've heard his work with everyone from Bruce Springsteen to Kanye West, Stevie Wonder, Michael McDonald, and everyone in between. But Saturday night on Grammy's Eve at the Sun Room in West Hollywood at 8:30 p.m. will be Cory Henry and Friends Grammy Jam, an evening of healing and celebration through music. In fact, we have a pair of tickets we're going to give away before the night is through. But it's my honor, my pleasure to welcome to Later with Mo Kelly, none other than the Cory Henry, my brother and new friend. How are you this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on the show.
Brooklyn native, and as the story goes, you were playing since 2 years old. In fact, there are pictures of you playing as basically an infant. Is it fair to say that music chose you? You didn't choose music?
Absolutely. As long as I can remember, since coming out of my mama's womb, I was just interested in music in ways that seemed to annoy my family. They said when I was a kid, I would sit on my auntie's lap and bang to the rhythm, with spoons. And, I sat in schools and used the pencils and, played the drums on the desk. And all I know is music since I can remember, as long as I can remember, for sure.
Did you know, or did someone point out to you that you had a gift, something that was bestowed upon you? In the church, we say you were anointed.
No, I knew. And then I knew I was anointed.
Okay.
But I knew it was just always in me. I can't remember a time where I wasn't thinking about music,
Was there a particular piece for you which transformed you or always touches you? Like, for example, whenever I should be in church or in a church setting, if someone's going to come out and start singing, I won't complain, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it.
You're going to go crazy.
That's right. Is there a song like that for you?
Oh man. A song, that's actually probably a list of songs like that for me. Every time I play Amazing Grace, it takes me under,
Like we heard coming in.
Yeah. That version of Amazing Grace is different from any other version I've ever played, because that's the version my mama taught me. At the age of 4 or 5 years old, I often credit, my jazz, people like Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea for my jazz influence. But, when I started making this record, the church album, I was thinking about my mama's chords, and she showed me these chords that had fourths and diminish and out of time signatures and just like cool melodies. And she took Amazing Grace and made her own calypso kind of version for me to play.
I understand when you say diminished chords, what we'll call it like passing chords and what have you, but you're 4 years old, presumably at the time. Did it register on that level, or are you just mimicking what she's showing you on a keyboard?
Yeah, I'm just mimicking. I had no clue that I was doing cool chords until 15 years later. I was like, wait a minute, my mama showed me these chords, and like, she's my interest, to jazz, like she's how I got into it, as well as gospel, but it's specifically jazz, by taking a song like Amazing Grace and jazzing it up and making it sound, the way I recorded it. Those are all her chords. Like, I didn't even arrange more than her chords.
I know playing in church, because I played in church, I've sung in church, can be very intimidating, because there's a very educated and discriminating crowd, if you will. They want you to play old time religion music, as I call it, the way they want to hear it, and they can be very unforgiving. Was that your experience coming up in the church?
Kind of. Yeah, I grew up in a church that was average age older. And they already knew what they wanted to hear, and they didn't want no kids coming in there
Yes.
messing up the worship service. So if I wanted to play, if I wanted to be a part of it, I had to learn the hymns and the devotional songs and the songs that make the mothers move. And once I did that, I was able to play more frequently, and church became a full-time job. But I'm so happy that I learned what I learned through church, because it literally set up the musician and the man I am today.
I grew up in the church, and I listened to what they call church music and, sanctified music. But it wasn't until I went to my father's mother's house in Lynchburg, Virginia, down south. And most of the radios. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah. And if you listen to the stations, a lot of them are just gospel stations. And I heard this one song, and this is 1989. So you're maybe 2 years old or so. And it was Precious Memories, James Cleveland and Aretha Franklin. Mm-hmm. That completely changed me, because it was the first time music touched me. When did it start touching you?
Man,
I should say the meanings and the words.
Oh man. How old were you? When you said that happened?
I was about 17 or 18 when I started taking it for myself.
Yeah.
It started meaning, my Christianity meant something in my life. It wasn't like my parents' religion. It was mine at that point.
I would probably say the same age, maybe if not before. I know when I first started singing in church. I was really young. I was probably like 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. And the first few times it was just like I was just trying to get through a song. But I never forget after about a year or two into that, I was about maybe 11, 12, I sung a song called Thank You, Lord. And I was like, man, this is touching me.
Thank you, Lord.
That's
that one.
That's the tag.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah, that's the tag at the end of it. But shout out to my godfather, Bishop Jeffrey White, Brooklyn, New York, who had wrote a song that had some changes in the beginning of it, and then concluded with that refrain at the end.
I just want to thank you, Lord.
Yeah, he put a verse on it. Well, when I think of the goodness and all he done for me, my very soul of God, Christ, hallelujah, I thank God for saving me. And it goes through these changes. It's really nice. I just want to say thank you, Lord. It was like a big deal. And the church just be crying their eyes out.
Yeah. Does that movie, I know when I performed, and I'm not a performer like you, I'm not trying to equate myself to you, but I know that there are moments in service where you may think you're not reaching someone, you're not touching someone, the Spirit's not moving, you think, and then someone comes up afterwards and just said, you touched me, you talked to me, you were ministering directly to me. Does that happen often for you?
Yeah, very often. And to this day it happens. And I'm very touched by that, because you just never know, and that's when it's not about you, and it's not about, your feelings. It's really about being in the presence and like just trying to fulfill the task, which is to play music in high spirit and to touch people. And as long as I'm doing that, it's like, it's cool. I could think I'm, subpar or terrible, but me and my friends say, as long as we bless the people, we did our job. So
joining me in the studio right now is Cory Henry, multi-time Grammy-nominated artist. In fact, he's nominated this year. The telecast will be this Sunday. He's nominated in the Roots Gospel Album category. I just call it traditional gospel, old-time religion, my favorite type of gospel music. So Cory Henry's going to be hanging out with us in studio for a moment. Also on Grammy's Eve, Saturday at the Sun Room in West Hollywood at 8:30 p.m. Cory Henry and Friends, the Grammy Jam, an evening of healing and celebration through music will be taking place. In fact, we will have a pair of tickets to give away later on this evening, but keep it right here. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And joining me in studio is Cory Henry. He's up for a Grammy Award in the Roots Gospel Album category. That is going to be on Sunday, but Saturday night, the night before, on Grammy's Eve at the Sun Rose in West Hollywood at 8:30 p.m. will be Cory Henry and Friends Grammy Jam, an evening of healing and celebration through music. We'll be talking about that in just a moment. But Cory, let me come back to you. Brooklyn native, where did your professional career begin? There's playing in the church, and then there's the business of music where you go out and start creating your own musical history and legacy?
Yeah, I started, I guess you'd say the business of it, maybe around 16, 17. I started getting calls for gigs outside of church. And then, I started going to a club called the Village Underground on West 3rd, every Sunday night. I used to sneak in, actually.
As a teenager?
As a teenager. Excuse me. They used to have, soul, open mics, or, actually it used to even be called like, gospel open mics back in the day, before it switched to like, everything else, whatever. It was one of the first places I saw an organ outside of the church, and it really interested me into, wanting to be down there. And, I got one of my first main gigs with, Kenny Garrett. Mm-hmm. And I toured with Kenny Garrett for 2-3 years. He came down there, saw me playing down there, one day, and just asked me to go with him. I toured with, Kim Burrell and, so many people from that club. So around the age of 16, 17, 18, it started getting real. And then I started taking gigs around the city, and it was just,
Any pushback from family? Because sometimes, and I
Absolutely.
know, okay, you know where I was going with this, because there is a very closed environment about the church. You should only use your talents to uplift God, and out in the secular world is the devil. That's the devil's work. And we know the history of like a Ray Charles or Aretha Franklin, and how there was that push-pull. So you're saying you had the same push-pull.
Absolutely. And it's amazing that you mentioned Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin, because I think about them often, especially, over the last 15 years in terms of, career and the roadmap, because they was two people that, and Billy Preston, I include into this, that like took their talents from the church and didn't really change much, and like, went all the way with what they had. And that inspired me, and it still does inspire me. And yes, I got so much pushback from people in church, pastors who I've played for my entire lives. People who I've known since I was a kid, people said to me some of the craziest things. And I was just like, wow, that's wild. That's wild. But now it's 30 years later, 20 years later, whatever it is. And, thank God, I'm okay, and I'm standing on my own 2 feet, despite what some people have told me, which was really wild, to think about. One thing somebody said, you ain't gonna be anointed no more. Like, God gonna take his hand off you. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It was wild.
Church folk can be very territorial. It's interesting you mentioned Billy Preston, who used to be the organist at my church when I was at Brookings AME.
Stop. What?
I'm being serious.
What?
Yes.
What?
Billy Preston, Brookings AME. This was early 2000s or so. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, to see him play on that Hammond B3 up close.
Where?
It was at Brookings AME.
Where was I?
I don't know. The Brookings AME was on Slauson, like 58th Street. Yes, you were still a child, but I can say
I could have been there.
It was a learning session, let me tell you. But I'm quite sure my list of luminaries that I've been around probably pales to yours. Very quickly, who else have you had the privilege or pleasure to play with over the years? I just gave a short list, like Bruce Springsteen. Saw you posted recently with Stevie Wonder and other people. Who else comes to mind of that list?
Oh man, well, Stevie Wonder's like at the top of it, so that's what I'm.
Most people's top.
Yeah. After that, it's crazy. But who else comes to the list? Off top, I'm still kind of hyped about Kanye. I worked on Donda's record. I'm still hyped about Rosalia. I won a Latin Grammy with Rosalia last year, or the year before rather.
Did you see how I just slid that? I won a Latin Grammy last year. Just slid that. I caught that though. I caught it. Threw it. I caught it.
Just a little bit. I'm excited about that. Let me think. There's probably like 2 other people that I've, Imagine Dragons. I made a record with them, and I'm excited about that. Man, I've been making a lot of music over the last 5 to 7 years, 10 years.
Across a lot of genres. I was talking about how you had these different nominations in traditionally musically different categories, from progressive R&B and jazz and hip hop. And is it all just music in your head, or do you actually have a partition in between?
No, it's just music. I just want to serve the music, and I'm so glad that I get calls from people in different, genres, different categories, different, types of music, and they just call me to do my thing, and I'm like, wow, how can I, do my thing in this style of music and make it feel however they want it to do or however I think it should, and they trust me to do that. And I think that's a huge blessing to just do that. Yeah.
Is there a day which goes by in which you do not touch the keys, or is that a part of your daily regimen where I get up, I'm going to stretch, I'm going to fix my breakfast, and I'm going to record some things for radio? In other words, there's not a day that goes by in which I'm not doing something as part of my craft. Yeah. Or do you have days where I just can't look at a keyboard today?
Yeah, it's crazy. As you said that, I was like, did I touch a keyboard today? I don't know. But I did touch 2K today. So, that's kind of
funny.
That's kind of my day job.
How many hours do you play?
As many as I can. I want to be.
That's a tough life.
Listen, I'll tell you the truth. If I would have known that the gaming industry would be like it is, I probably would have never been on tour. I would have never been on tour. But no, there's definitely days where I go by and maybe play just 10 minutes, instead of 3 hours.
Do you practice or you just play at this point?
Mainly playing. There's a little bit of practice. Like recently, I was trying to work on just independence, left hand independence, and counter melodies. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I got a piano in my house. I didn't really grow up with a piano. I grew up with an organ. I'm an organ by nature, by heart.
Explain for people who don't know, if they haven't seen a Hammond B3, they're multi-level keyboards. There's a pedal. You play with your feet. Explain that, please.
Yeah, the Hammond organ is what I would call the first synth. And it works as like flying an airplane or something. There's about 9 drawbars for a preset. That means there's 9 different sound pieces that can help you create a sound per preset, which in the presets on the left side of the organ. It has foot pedals, it has a volume pedal, it has a tremolo switch, and the sound is controlled by something that's called a Leslie speaker. And let me think. Yeah, and I want to say it's probably the most soulful, instrument, I've ever heard. Yes. So yeah, I had an organ, and I grew up with an organ in my house, and that was home base, especially playing in church, because church had organs in it. But I didn't grow up with a piano, and I got a piano about a year or so ago from somebody who gifted to me. It was a crazy story, but they gifted me this piano, and I've learned so much more music and about myself, rather, because I think that a piano makes you honest. I feel like it's an honest instrument, and because I have to be honest on it, I've been challenging myself in ways that I haven't done on the organ.
Even still.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's like, oh wow, let me see if my left hand can compete with my right hand and do, different rhythms and, support it differently, or solo with my left hand instead of soloing with my right hand, or, just trying different stuff on the piano. So
KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly. My guest in studio is Cory Henry as we talk about his Grammy-nominated album, Church. We'll have more with Cory Henry and your chance to get tickets to the Sun Rose in West Hollywood on Saturday night. It's Cory Henry and Friends Grammy Jam, an evening of healing and celebration through music.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mr. Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. I'm joined in the studio by Cory Henry. Cory, did you recognize where that was that I pulled that from, that music of yours?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. You want me to say what it's from?
Oh, I can say it. You can say this. You were playing. It was an informal jam at NAMM in 2016.
Oh, 16.
And you and, was it Nick?
Nixon Rap.
Just sat down at the keyboards. He was playing, I'll say, the piano keyboard.
Yeah, that's good.
And you were playing what exactly? How would you describe the instrument you were on?
An electric organ.
and you all just started jamming. Mm-hmm. The beauty of the spontaneous creation of true musicians. And if there's a video, you can find it on YouTube, and all these music merchants, as it were coming around, and they started filming and looking and oohing and ahhing, and to see that happen. And tell me the story about how it organically took place. Oh, it sounds like there's a story behind the story.
Yeah. Well, at that time I was going to NAMM every year, and I was spending some time looking at some new instruments, and we was on tour. Me and the Funk Apostles were on tour, so we were all together filming and making a new album around that time. The Art of Love album, I believe, was the record we was working on. And me and Simrat is like my right hand man as it comes down to keyboards. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite keyboard player to play with. He plays in my band, the Funk Apostles. And one of the reasons why he's my favorite is because like in the band we call him Churchy Charles. When
he get down.
He get down, and when you see him, you want to know that he can get down, and he get down. But
don't let the smooth taste fool you.
You know what I mean? So he be pulling out hymns and just going crazy. So we did that maybe once or twice that day. He pull out a hymn, or I pull out a hymn, and he'll play. I play. But we stopped at a booth, and I remember he was kind of like. Me and him be preaching back and forth to each other. So I think he had said something. I don't feel no way tired.
Yes.
And started playing. And I just remember cracking up laughing, and we do that in soundcheck pretty often, actually, almost every day. So, we were just doing something that is, that was regular to us, and didn't realize that it would, bless so many people, and for it to go as crazy as it did is
it's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, it is. It's a long time. Time is flying. It's winding up.
Speaking of time, coming up on Saturday, just 2 days from now, is going to be Cory Henry and friends. We're not going to tell you who the friends are. You're just going to have to show up. Actually, you're going to have to get these tickets.
Yeah.
Because the show is sold out. Talking about the Grammy Jam, an evening of healing and celebration through music. In fact, they'll be taking donations at the door for an Altadena family who was impacted by the fire. Tell me more about this event.
Yeah, I felt like, we are celebrating the Grammys and my nomination for my album, the Church album. But it felt like just celebrating at this time is kind of crazy. It's just kind of crazy to just be celebrating and outside gallivanting and just being outside while people are being affected and still affected by what's going on here in California. So I wanted to bring some attention to it, in a way that I felt is safe and okay and, approved, and, really want to, help as much as I can. And we felt like this was one way. We've also donated to a few charities, and, just want to continue to do I just want to continue to do what I can, to help whoever I can that's going through right now.
Give me a number between 1 and 10, please.
9.
All right, we're going to open up the phones. Caller number 9. If you would like to go see Cory Henry and friends at the Sun Rose on Saturday at 8:30 p.m., you and a guest give us a call. Caller number 9 to see Cory Henry and friends. Can I get you to stay over one more segment and close out this hour on the show?
Yeah, we here, man.
All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Well, it's Later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Did you recognize that voice?
Is that? No, who is it?
Mark Kibble.
I was going to say that's Take 6.
Yes, it is.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be common, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Friend of the show, known Mark for a long time, interviewed Take 6. And when I started the show back in 2023, he reached out and did those just because.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I got some history in this business,
wow,
man.
that is so cool.
Cory Henry joins me in studio, Grammy nominated. And I know from the years I worked at the Grammys many, many years ago, it can be a very long day and it can be an unglamorous day, especially if you go to the non-televised portion, which may start at 4:30, and you can be sitting there. If you go to the televised version, which I expect you to go to as well, until after 8. Then you go to the parties. You got to go to the parties. It's an official Grammy party, and every record label has their own individual parties. Do you still go to them?
I have went to them.
Right. That's why I said, do you still?
I don't know. We're going to see. This year's going to be different. My grandmama's coming to town.
Oh.
And the party is wherever Dr. J goes. She is Grammy nominated as well. So, you know, as much as she want to party, then I go parties. We're going to go to all the parties. But, if she don't want to party, we just going to go get some food and hang out and do something chill.
That is all right. That is all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you still get nervous at all?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever, I am, not prepared or don't know what the roadmap is going to be to a particular thing, it can be a little nerve wracking, but, I try to overcome it with good thoughts and working out.
What's it like being in that Grammy environment coming up on Sunday? I know what it is just in a professional capacity, but I was never sitting out there going to hear my name as one of the nominees in the various categories. What is that experience like?
Oh, no, that's nerve wracking. Yeah, that part is nerve wracking. Every year I've been nominated for the last 4 to 5 years. Every time it gets to my category, I start getting almost an anxiety attack or something. It's like really weird. And so much expectations on or wanting to win. My expectations be so high.
Okay, so it's out there. You're not one of those, I'm just happy to be nominated. No, you want the statuette. You want the gramophone.
Yes, I want to win. I didn't come this far not to win. I want to win. That's a little bit competitive side of me. But I'm actually really excited, to be totally honest, no jokes aside, to just be in a number, right? I am very happy to just be and honored to be considered amongst my peers, and have my music recognized the way it has been. So that's, you know, from my heart where it stands when I'm in these rooms, and especially when it's coming up. But personally, at the same time, at the core, I get really anxious and nervous, and when I haven't won the last few years, it's like, oh man, I always have to bring myself back to reality, because the people that I am, quote unquote, you know, losing to are my friends, and I've been on some of their records.
Oh, yeah.
Like I lost to Lucky Day. I was like, I won his record though, so I kind of won. Like, it's okay. Like,
but it's not the same.
Yeah, but it's not a big deal, you know, like, it's okay. Michelle and D'Angelo, that's my homie. Like, I love these people. You know, I make music with these people. So it's really
She can play some mean bass.
Oh my Lord, she's one of the best, one of the greatest. So, you know, it's like, a blessing to, be in this position, to be able, you know, like I said, to be recognized and just to be in the number, to be recognized for my music. It means the world to me, for sure.
An off-the-wall question, but you may have a feeling about it. Recently, or semi-recently, Quincy Jones passed.
Yeah.
And I know that he had an impact, an imprint on you.
Yeah.
Who was he to you?
Man, I don't like, Quincy Jones he was like, how can I say it? He was like my uncle from far away. like my big homie. You know, every time we was together, there was, you know, information that he passes to me, something he says, a joke or
He could get raw.
Very, very, very. And, but it's all like, he's so much wisdom, and there's so much, you know, heart and passion and soul behind almost everything he does that I've seen and witnessed. And it's been a blessing to be connected to him. It's been a blessing to play in front of him numerous of times. and work with him. It's just, I'm still really, sad about his passing, and, his legacy will live, forever through all of us.
He is Cory Henry. The new album, the Grammy nominated album, is Church. I'm just going to let you know I'm pulling for him to win on Sunday for the Roots Gospel Album category. Also on Saturday, Cory Henry and Friends, an evening of healing and celebration through music. His Grammy Jam, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. at the Sun Rose. And, I think I might be able to get a ticket so I can get there. If so, I will see you there on Saturday. Cory, you are welcome in the studio on this show at any time. It's been an honor and pleasure, and I'm pulling for you, brother.
Thank you so much, Mo. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.